How you make demons every day without realizing. The natural tendency is to fight your demons, but the truth of the matter is, those demons are nothing more than energetic signatures that are a part of you. So any attempt at fighting your demons is unconsciously you just fighting yourself. And unfortunately, if you're fighting yourself within, then the world outside of you is then going to fight you. See, this video isn't going to be a video on blood sacrifices or demons, because I don't fuck with any of that stuff. I don't mess with that stuff. But what I am going to explain to you is how on a daily basis, the entirety of humanity have the unfortunate consequence of creating demons without even realizing. And until you understand the process of how you actually create demons, quote unquote, are going to be something that scares you, they're going to be something that controls you, and it's going to be something that destroys you. Now, one thing that I have to preface it is this: I really mean it when I say nigga. I do not conjure up demons. There's no pentagrams in here. I'm simply going to be merging three particular fields of study: the occult, don't be scared, metaphysics, and Jungian psychology. So, as you can see in the drawings over here, you know what I'm saying? You can't be fighting them. You gotta be talking to them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, let's get into it.
We can get into it.
Well, we can get intimate.
Shout out, David.
Go girl, it's your birthday. Open wide, know you thirsty. Say say We don't buy no drinks at the bar. Pop champagne cause you got that dough. Let me hear you say Go girl, it's your birthday. Open wide, know you thirsty. I can't lie, I'm not sure if it's ain't it a bit suspect for two niggas to be singing Say by Trey Songz. It's a bit mad, innit? It's a bit mad.
I don't think that's what he intended the song to be for.
No, I think it is.
No.
Say open wide, I know you're thirsty. But I'll make you say just like I'm your doctor.
Right.
On one hand, they could be talking about drinking.
Right.
You know, but it's Trey Songz. I'm very excited for this video.
Someone said, "Thanks, Nero. Just here to mention I'm from South Africa, and I managed to land a remote UK IT role.
Nice.
I find myself sitting and working in the exact spot I imagined myself sitting in my short scene, earning extremely close to the exact amount I imagined. Acting as if it already happened is a game changer. And you explain it perfectly, how visualizing a short scene reduces the emotional attachment, making it easier to feel like you already have your desired reality, so you no longer desired it. You are simply present mentally in your desired reality. Soon enough, it appears with extreme specifics. Thanks, Emil. This knowledge is priceless."
Fire.
Shout out people from South Africa.
Shout out my ancestral family.
Okay.
Now, like I said, this is going to be merging three fields of study. One with the occult. Now, typically, whenever people hear the word occult, and I say this as somebody who studied the left-hand path and the right-hand path, there's this natural tendency for people to be like, and think I'm going to have you niggas fucking doing up pentagrams and sacrifices and all of that. Chill, relax. The occult simply comes from the etymological origins of the word occultus, which just meant hidden. That's all it is. That's all it is. And the thing about the occult is that there's a lot of fear associated with the study. And you have to understand, fear is the foundation of ignorance. And that's a real bar, write that down. Anything that we are fearful of, we're truly ignorant, because we're so fearful that our mind won't even allow us to conceptualize any further study, because you're like, nah, this is too much. And that's where people get caught off. Now, the next thing is going to be metaphysics, which is simply the mechanics of how the universe works. And then Jungian psychology, because we're going to be talking about the integration of the shadow and how all of these fields all merge together. So let's get into how you make demons. By the way, this is something that you already do. I don't want niggas running around saying Nero's telling people how to make demons. I'm telling you, this is something that humanity already does on a collective basis. And until you can come to the awareness of how this is taking place, you'll be unaware of how this is perpetually keeping you in the same cycles. Because the truth of the matter is there's not a single human being on this planet that won't have the battle within of fighting demons. This is something we all do. But as I said, that battle is nothing more than keeping you in a perpetual cycle of fighting yourself due to the ignorance associated with what demons truly are outside of the horror films, the fear, and all the Christian stories that niggas tell, so on and so forth.
Seen this girl talk about you on TikTok. She was like, she tells everyone about you. And she found out about you through TikTok, through another girl talking about you.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
I was like, that's cool.
That is very cool. Shout out the TikTokers. Shout out. All right, cool. So, first things first. A foundation that we have to understand, and this all goes back to Hermeticism. A lot of what we conceptualize as spirituality or books on the mechanics of the universe all derive from a similar source, which is Hermeticism, 4th century BCE. Hermeticism, the foundational law of the Hermetic universal principles, the foundation, the first law of the universe is mental. The all is mind, mind is all. And unfortunately, most people are short-sighted in what this statement actually means. A lot of people merely conceptualize the universe as being this third dimensional realm, this physical plane to which we inhabit. But the truth of the matter is, the universe is conceptualized as 3 planes of existence: physical, mental, and spiritual. So the statement that the universe being mental doesn't just extend to physical reality, because physical reality is nothing more than a materialization of our state of consciousness, also known as your self-concept, also known as your frequency, also known as your imagination, all interchangeable terms to the same thing. This also begins to extend to the spiritual plane. See, a lot of people simply focus on the idea that only the physical plane is mental. And I say that to say the world in which you live in is nothing more than frozen imagination. And that's a real bar, write that down. And I want you to conceptualize it in the same manner that we conceptualize steam and ice. Steam and ice are both the same energy. Their only difference is their rate of vibration. Matter and imagination, frequency, state of consciousness, can be equated to steam. You can't really grasp it to any particular degree. But when it's tangible and it's altered its rate of vibration, it becomes matter to which we can touch, and it's what the world is made up out of. The universe as being mental also extends to the spiritual plane. The spiritual plane is a mental creation predominantly. Because if we're talking about demons, and this also extrapolates further to gods, angels, demons, and entities, because these things are all have the same basis. The only difference between them is the rate of vibration, and that's what ultimately separates them. But the spiritual plane in of itself has basis in being a mental creation. It is the mental self-concept, frequency, state of consciousness, which also has an effect on the spiritual plane, which leads to a particular form of creation. So the first thing that you have to understand is any particular spiritual entity, and as I said, that can extend to demons, that can extend to gods, that can extend to angels, and so on and so forth. Any spiritual entity has basis in first being a mental creation. And this is why humanity creates them every day without realizing. Because we're so unaware of what's taking place in our state of consciousness, our self-concept and our frequency. But then we attempt to be aware of what's going on in our world. If you're unaware of what's going on within, when things outside of you are taking place, it's almost going to be like you're walking down the street and you get punched in your face. You're going to be confused as to what the fuck is going on. And you don't know what the fuck is going on outside of you because you don't know what's going on inside of you. And the basis of everything is a mental creation. This is important that we start with the foundations. The wood must be laid down. Pause. So now we can really get started.
Bro said the wood has to be laid. I went through a dark night of the soul right before I found this page. And I can say that I found this channel when I needed it the most. I'm unrecognizable from who I was a year ago. I know you say that you don't want credit for changing people's lives.
And I do not want credit. No.
However, you have. I bought the book on Amazon and I read it in your accent, lol.
By the way, guys, she's talking about outsmarting reality. Amazon bestseller in all 3 categories in less than 24 hours. Been at the top of the charts for 22 weeks straight.
Cold. Bro said top of the charts like it's an album.
You know what I'm saying?
I hear it. I sing along with you guys because I know all the same songs. Thank you.
I'll make love to you when you want me to, and I'll hold you tight. Baby, all through the night, I'll make love to you. And I will not let go till you tell me to. All right. Let's start cooking. Cool. I'll take green and purple. So, first things first. We first have to begin to define that, as I said, what we conceptualize as demons, what we conceptualize as angels, what we conceptualize as gods, because across many different cultures have different gods. Now, of course, the religious position is there's only one God, completely fine. And this can be conceptualized as the monad as we look at it from a more Gnostic perspective. But then if we want to also conceptualize and be respectful of other people's cultures, across many different cultures, a multitude of different gods. And if you ask these people about their encounters with it, they'll tell you. Now, the religious notion is to say they're just talking to demons, which is a very simplistic and ignorant way of looking at things. But you have to begin to understand that demons, angels, and gods are first entities. So it's important that we begin to define what an entity is. An entity is nothing more than a spiritual organism. Now, it's a spiritual organism without physical body, but they all have one particular desire. And that one desire is to experience physicality. And this is why demons will often attempt to, possess people because they want to experience some type of physicality. You got some crazy niggas which try to do rituals with demons in order to get material things, which, by the way, I want to make it very abundantly clear. There's nothing that you're missing. And that's the real bar, write that down. We have this particular position because we see separation with ourselves in our world that we need something outside of us to then go and materialize something. But the truth of the matter is your entire reality unfolds from you. And the only thing that you need to materialize what you want is the mental, emotional equivalent state of whatever it is that you want. All you need to do is become the resonant frequency. All you need to do is become the embodiment of that particular state of consciousness or self-concept or whatever it is that you want. And that's literally all you have to do. You don't have to chat to no entities. You don't have to do no rituals. You ain't got to do none of that. Because the truth of the matter is, if you're the materialization of God, then what are you lacking? That's what bar, write that down, but they play on your ignorance. So like I said, entities. Entities exist on the spiritual plane. And the thing about the spiritual plane is that it has the capability of affecting physical reality because it is part of the causal realm. The mental and spiritual plane are causal realms and spiritual organisms themselves without physical bodies. So then we have to begin to break down, okay, then what is that made up out of? Now, like I told you, must the first law of the universe. The universe is entirely mental. The universe is entirely mental. Say it with me. The universe is entirely mental. Everything in reality begins from a mental creation. So entities are made up out of thought forms. Now, a thought form is nothing more than repeated, mental, and emotional energy. And I'll explain to you how this works. So, when we combine mental energy and we combine emotional energy, those are two particular types of energies. And the combination of these two energies leads to a thought form. And the way that I want you to think about a thought form is like this. Let's say you repeat a particular line of thinking with emotion. That's the equivalent of you dropping a stone down. Imagine you think the same thing with a powerful amount of emotion. And that's the thing, the emotion has to be powerful. And the power of the emotion can be on whatever side of the scale. It can be extreme positivity, it can be extreme negativity. The thought form can be conceptualized as dropping a stone. Imagine you drop a stone on the ground and the human mind produces 4,000 to 45,000 thoughts on a daily basis. And I believe about 50% of those thoughts are repeated, mind you. So imagine you take a stone, you drop it down. You have about 40,000 stones that you're dropping down every single day. In a day, you have a small pillar. Over a week, it begins to become bigger. Over weeks and months, that becomes a fucking mountain. those little stone deposits become a mountain. And at the point that it becomes a mountain, it becomes an entity. Now, in the occult, they're known as egregores. In Latin cultures, or sorry, not Latin, in Tibetan Buddhism, they're known as tulpas. Same thing. You'll find the word egregores in the Book of Enoch. In Greek, it just simply means the watchers, right? And the thing about it is, after a certain point, after a consistent deposit of thought, and I'll give you a multitude of examples of how this happens. This happens, bear in mind, on an individual level first. On an individual level. Somebody runs for the bus, or ran for the bus and he drives off. Long. Somebody runs for the bus driver drives off, they're like, fuck, why me? They're walking, they tripped. Why me? Why me? Why me? Why me? Why me? Why me? That combination of particular repeated thought, mental and emotional energy then produces an entity over time called why me? Now, the thing about entities is that entities are nothing more than a blind intelligence. And it's important you remember that. They're nothing more than a blind intelligence. They're not personalizing and say, hey, I'm gonna fuck with AJ. I'm gonna fuck with Nero. I'm gonna fuck with you. It's not personal. It's a blind intelligence because now you have created an entity. And the thing about this entity is that it requires energy to sustain itself. It requires energy to sustain itself. And the energy required to sustain it is the very same energy of which it was created from. So in the why me, somebody says, why me in frustration? They say in sadness. They've now created this entity from these mental and emotional energies. So now the only type of energy that can sustain this entity is the very energy to which it was born from, which is sadness and frustration. So now this entity follows you around like a Shinigami in Death Note. It just literally follows you around like this without even realizing on the spiritual plane of existence, which is nothing more than another state of existence on a completely different vibratory rate than the physical plane. It's just following you around. And whenever it gets hungry, it will fuck up your reality in order to get it. Quite literally fuck up your reality. It will make you trip. It will get you to go to the bus stop just as the bus driver is driving off, so you can consistently say, why me, why me, why me, why me? And people do this. People do this in more ways than, and bear in mind, this is something that you unconsciously do on a daily basis. People often say, man, I'm just not good at maths. I'm just not good at maths. They do a maths test. They feel, I'm just not good at maths. I'm 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 not good at maths. And anytime it wants that particular energy feed, it will reinforce itself by materializing itself. Because the thing about entities is that the one thing that they love is mental real estate. And if they can get mental real estate, they can own your world. And that's a bar, write that down. If they can get mental real estate, then they can own your world, quite literally. A lot of people do this, and most people do this, in more negative ways than positive. Some niggas will be like, nah, I can't lie. I'm not, I'm ugly. You know what I mean? I'm ugly. Mental, emotional, leads to the physical materialization within your state of consciousness that you're now ugly. So now you go try to chat to a girl, and she's like, get away from me. And this is really real. And this can be extrapolated across a multitude of different fields. And people also do this in a positive sense too. So for example, the individual that expresses themselves as a lucky individual. I'm a lucky person. Things always work out for me. I'm a lucky person. 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 They then give birth to an entity based upon that mental and emotional energy, based upon the thought forms that they've deposited. That thought form over a multitude of weeks then becomes quite literally the equivalent of a mountain. At that point, it begins to gain an intelligence and it gains an existence. Then it seeks to sustain itself off the energy it was created from, which is probably being happy and surprised, which then makes a lucky person experience the physical phenomenon of which we call luck. And it's important that you begin to understand how this works on an individual level. Because all of these things are nothing more than entities. They're nothing more than entities.
This isn't Nero. This is the clone. The one they keep in the basement for emergencies. You know what I mean? The backup version they plug in when the real Nero disappears into another dimension or whatever he does to recharge. I don't care what anyone says, this isn't him. This is basement Nero. The spare one they turn on when the timeline starts glitching.
What?
The real Nero's probably somewhere else right now trying to fix whatever the hell just happened. I'm serious, guys.
Nigga just made a Rick and Morty episode out of
it. Literally. Watch his eyes. Watch them closely. Something's up.
You niggas can't even see my eyes.
That's the part that took me out. Bro goes, watch his eyes.
This is all because, bear in mind, I usually upload it on Sundays. If you're new here, I usually upload on Sundays. I uploaded on a Wednesday. And now, allegedly, I'm a clone who has escaped the basement.
What do you think of the Dave album?
I think it was amazing. I think the songs that were really good were really good. Like for me personally, The Boy Who Played the Harp, #1, My 27th Birthday, #2. And then for me, it's either Rain Dance or Selfish. I really like Selfish.
I like Selfish. I like History a lot.
Yeah, History is good.
Do you know what song's underrated? And I know you probably ain't a big fan of it. Marvelous.
It's growing on me.
Marvelous.
And you don't want to get good, you don't know.
Yeah.
Nah, he killed it. For me, that was quite literal poetry. There was too many bars on that, like, how can I love myself? I'm made from two people that hate each other. Like, that's so deep. He said, how can I explain that I don't want to heal because my identity is pain? What? Nah. He's a literal purist. It's amazing.
I just hope I don't have to wait another 4 years. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, let's try and minimize it to 2. Give yourself a year to like live life experience.
You know what I'm saying?
Bars.
Like life ain't even all that for real life. You know what I mean? I'll go with green. Cool. Now, the most important thing that you have to remember about these entities in particular, and I just alluded to it just then, is that entities require energy. Mm-hmm. That energy is the basis of their existence. Make sure you're taking notes and leave them in the comments, by the way. It is the basis of their existence. It is quite literally what they feed off. And they will do anything to get it. As Malcolm X said, by any means necessary. Now, this happens, as I said, on an individual level, but it's important that we look at what happens on a collective level, because this is where this stuff really begins to become dangerous. And don't worry, relax, you're gonna get some. You're probably thinking, where are the demons doing with it? Listen, wipe your mouth, it's all right. Wipe your mouth. This happens on a collective scale. If an individual can give birth to an entity on the spiritual plane, then imagine what takes place when individuals harmonize consciousness. Imagine what takes place when individuals harmonize consciousness. They become synchronized in mental and emotional energy. And we have real life examples of this. Of what takes place. Think about it like this. Let me back out my Nicasso. You know, artistic skills real quick for you guys. I'll do this for free, guys. It's all right, bro. So as you can see, so cool. So collective of individuals, they all synchronize in the same lines of thinking and the same lines of emotion. This gives birth to an entity. Now this entity right here has one purpose. What's the main purpose of an entity, AJ? The main purpose of an entity is to feed off energy. It requires energy. It is the basis for its existence. So upon having a couple of people, it is going to attempt, over here, you have an individuals that may not be connected. Let me draw some girls. See guys, girls. Inclusive. And as you can see, let's say these girls over here, these lovely ladies over here, they're not within the particular paradigm of this entity. It's not something that they adhere to, right? It's not something that they adhere to. This entity seeking energy, it is going to get those already within its umbrella to attempt to recruit people into its particular ideology. So then these lovely ladies end up joining, and then the process continues. 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 And then it has no more desires than to collectively bring as many people under its sphere of influence as possible, so it has the capability of sustaining itself with their energy. Now, like I said, this happens on a collective level. On a collective level, this happens. Remember, when individuals begin to harmonize their consciousness or synchronize their mental and emotional energy, it gives birth to a collective entity. It's actually the collective entity in of itself that is officially known as an egregore. And the thing is, we have real life examples of this. We can see this as brands. We can see this as music artists. We can see this as politics. We can see this as religions. And the thing about this entity is that once it begins to dominate based upon its requirement of mental and emotional energy, it brings people within its ideology. And those within its ideology are considered as friends. And those who aren't, or those who oppose it, are considered as enemies. And this is very fucking clear throughout all of this. People that fuck with Nike heavy, they're like, nah, Nike is the one, fuck Adidas, da 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 da. Same thing. Same thing with politics. Right wing, left wing, conservatives, Labour, same thing. Religions, same thing. Seeks to bring people under its collective sphere of influence in order to capitalize upon the mental and emotional energy of those particular people. Because remember, all entities seek to experience physical existence, because based upon the way that they vibrate and the frequency that they're on, our world is much more dense and it wants to experience physicality by any means necessary. In traditional examples, you have people who will even, give up their body for possession of demons because those demons just want to experience physicality. But on a more subtle level, the physicality that it gets to experience is by dominating one's mind, because when it dominates one's mind, then it has a capability of producing itself in reality. Because remember, there are no truths in the reality you experience other than what the subconscious mind accepts as true. And if within one subconscious mind that, this ideology, this religion, this music artist is the best, this, brand is the best, upon being that, it dominates. Remember, if an entity has the capability of putting mental real estate down in your subconscious mind, then it owns your world, because then it will materialize that as truth, and you'll be like, my religion is the truth. This political ideology is the correct. This artist is the best. These brands are the best. And it gets people to either join it or it separates people from it. Now you're probably thinking, what does this have to do with demons? Relax, zip up your pants. It's okay. Let me show you now.
That means whatever people say or whatever information you take in can literally...
Go on, cook.
It can literally change you. So like if I start saying to you every day, now you're bad luck, man, this shit keeps happening to me because of you, da 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 da. And then you start believing, shit, maybe I am bad luck.
Mm-hmm.
you know, every time I'm with so-and-so, this happens. Or last week I was with this person and this happened. That shit wouldn't happen if I wasn't there. And are you carrying on?
Precisely.
Yeah.
If you think about people that might have, you know, a lucky bracelet or some lucky socks, they've just poured their energy into something physical. That's what happens on a spiritual plane level of existence already. And this happens more often than you think. How many of the disagreements and arguments and the wars and the conflicts that people have are because of what they actually want as opposed to what they're being driven to do? Is it them or is it the entity?
I think you made the board a bit too wet this time, so.
The wetter the better. Do you prefer dry rub or wet?
Sorry?
Dry rub or wet?
Can you clarify what?
Wings.
Oh, wings.
What did you think I meant?
I don't know, man. Oh. I prefer it, so I prefer
You're
it,
a sick
so.
guy. You're a sick man.
You knew what you were doing. Niggas like you. Niggas like you.
I wish you lot could have saw his face in that moment. Yo, that is funny. Mine is absolutely in hell.
You knew what you were doing, man. Yo, Nero, I just want to say thank you.
Yo.
Your videos have been huge and reminded me of my core principles to manifest my dreams over the past year. Independently.
Spirituality without the ability to create your reality is sheer vanity. I'm merely showing you this because this also puts you in a position to know how to deal with the low vibrational aspects of you, so then you can continue to move towards your desired reality in a manner that's easy.
Independently, I did 2 million streams across all platforms in 12 months on my music. And it's only going up faster every single day. I now got a loyal fan base that will only grow more with time, and more wealth is entering my life on the daily. Your videos and your book really helped. I'm forever thankful. Keep up the good work. Cold.
That's hard. What else you got?
What else I got?
Yeah?
What do you mean by that?
Comments.
I'm keeping my pants zipped up, bro. I got served some papers last week. I owe some money.
Long.
Must be to the tax man. Anyway.
Long.
I genuinely visualized myself at peace and felt like everything was going to be okay. I got a promotion at work and now can afford to pay my bill. I manifested my ex back into my life. Why would you do that, bro?
No, you don't know. You don't know what happened. Let him get his gal back. Is that a guy or a girl? Let him get whatever back. You don't know these days. Let him get whatever back.
I truly believe in my ability to change my reality now. But manifested, the fact that like this person called them an ex, I don't know, man. I don't know. Should have just said I manifested the girl of my dreams back. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, ex sounds like should have just left it in the past.
Let them get their ex back, man. Let them get their ex back. So, now that you understand what takes place, bear in mind, one thing that I also forgot to put on that scale, that side of politics, religion and whatnot, is also gods. Like I said, across many different traditions, people give worship to, these particular figures. And more often than not, humanity ends up creating these entities that they begin to worship, because those entities, based upon being created out of worship, then demand worship. It's this kind of very, symbiotic relationship. I believe it was a film. Is it called The Titans? Something. One of those films about Titans. Anyways, it said that, the gods are dying because humans are no longer worshipping, which is the idea from a more occult perspective, especially when we're looking at egregores and thought forms and tulpas and whatnot. In other traditions, they're also known as servitors. But humanity worshipping these entities creates these entities into existence. Then when these entities are in existence, based upon people worshipping them, they create them, and now they have an existence to which now they must have all these people underneath that they must adhere to, either by blessing them, by punishing them and whatnot, and anything which stems from the mental creation of us. Now, the thing about demons, what the hell?
What happened? Too wet.
Don't know what happened there.
Maybe it's wet, bro. Gotta be careful, it might slip.
Man said dry rubble wet.
Oh man.
The thing about demons is that demons are nothing more than entities in of themselves. Now you understand what entities are? Entities are what? Thought forms. What are thought forms made out of? Mental and emotional energy. Demons are nothing more than entities that are created from a lower vibration. Now, when I say lower vibration, I'm not talking about eating meat, nigga, and listening to Future. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about it from the point of the scale of consciousness by Dr. David R. Hawkins, which are all of these emotions such as apathy, shame, guilt, sadness, humiliation, and I believe anger is towards, more neutral because it can be justified in some instances, such as injustice and whatnot. But these energies in of themselves, these emotions, are the basis of demons. So demons are nothing more than entities created from your apathy, those moments in life where you're like, fuck this, man, I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm done with this shit. Those instances to which you felt shame. And I believe shame is the lowest. And it's because if you think about what shame is unworthiness, which is a rejection of love. And love is towards the top of the end of the scale. I'll get AJ to put it up on the screen. And then there's guilt, which is a corrosive emotion which eats away at you. Sadness and humiliation. All of these emotions in particular are considered low vibration, right? Most spiritual niggas think low vibration is having fun. Most of you niggas would consider me low vibration. Well, I don't give a fuck anyways. But typically when we're looking at it from this point of scales, demons are nothing more than the product of your lower vibrational, mental and emotional energies. And let's borrow that down. Now remember, this happens on an individual level first. So let's say you go through some shit, you experience that emotion, because bear in mind, what is the subconscious mind programmed by, AJ?
Emotion.
Bingo. Most people think it's repetition. Repetition is a long-winded way of going about things. Because if you think about people that go through trauma, you only need to go through a traumatizing experience once for your entire mind and perception to be altered. And to that same degree of negativity, we can utilize when it comes to creating our desired reality with a positive charge. Extreme amount of trauma. And most people have a definition of trauma where they think it has to be quite extreme, but trauma is nothing more than emotional intensity. I have a video on why you need to be a victim to create your desired reality. Go watch that. Emotional intensity is what trauma is on the negative side. Any experience that's emotionally intense for you is considered trauma because that creates a strong emotional charge. That emotional charge is the energetic charge. The energetic charge then enters the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the womb of reality. It's quite literally what the world is unfolding from. Now, like I said, this happens on an individual level. So not only do these experiences create a strong emotional charge to enter your subconscious mind, and then it silently plays in the background of your life, materializing conditions, people, and circumstances that are in resonance with this, because then the universe's function is magnify. The universe seeks to magnify and maintain. And based upon experiencing a strong degree of emotional intensity, that's a strong frequency. So then it wants to maintain that, and then you end up in a perpetual cycle where you're caught up in the same things without realizing. But demons in of themselves are entities created from thought forms of mental and emotional energy that are considered lower vibrational, which is apathy, shame, guilt, sadness, and humiliation. So any time that you've experienced any one of these, is actually where the entrance point begins for demons. And bear in mind, what is the number one objective of a entity, AJ?
Feed off your energy.
Bingo. Feeding off your energy. So the experiences that you go through is actually the feeding source of this particular entity in of itself. And this happens on an individual level. But remember, when individuals are harmonized and their consciousness is synchronized, it then gives birth to a collective entity. And this is when it really gets bad. Because then these quote unquote demons, these entities become so powerful based upon the collective synchronization of consciousness, frequency, mental, and emotional energy that they begin to develop an existence of their own. They begin to develop an existence of their own on the spiritual plane, and they go around looking for people to feed off. And it can get to a point where they're so powerful that they can end up taking some form of a physical existence, right? And this is what happens when synchronized consciousness begins to take place. Because if you think about humanity, and if you think about it from a point of evolutionary psychology, how humans typically evolved was in flight or fight, right? And those basis evolutionary psychology emotions that we developed, such as fear and anxiety, which were once useful to keep us alive, are actually keeping us from thriving. And that's a bar, write that down. Because if you think about it, imagine humanity back then still were just probably unaware of the fact that the universe is mental. So imagine you're a caveman, you see a saber-toothed tiger, and you're like, fuck. And then you develop all this fear and you run away. That fear, that mental and emotional energy of there being this beast, this predator, this thing that wants to consume you, that mental and emotional energy, it doesn't just go nowhere. It then creates an entity. And imagine a multitude of individuals synchronized in that same particular line of thinking, synchronized in apathy, shame, guilt, sadness, humiliation, creates this collective entity that seeks to do nothing more than feed. So then it looks for people to feed off. Looks for people to feed off. That's why when you're at your lowest points, it's almost like a battle with yourself, right? It's almost like a battle with yourself. And this is conceptualized when Jesus was in the desert fasting. You know what I'm saying? And he's at a considered low point, right? And then the devil appears and said, hey, all this shit that you can see, I'll give it to you. But Christ rejected it because Christ's consciousness is the unification with the infinite intelligence. And he had the awareness that everything around him was already his, because there's no difference between you and your reality. Reality is nothing more than the materialization of your consciousness, and your consciousness is the immaterialization of your reality. So Christ knew he was one with everything, so there was nothing to bow down to. That was the illusion. But at these low points, we then end up feeling as if we are battling our demons within. When some shit goes wrong and you're just down bad, absolutely down terrible, those voices come and they say, see, that's why no one loves you. See, that's why no one likes you. You know what? I don't even know why you fucking tried, to be honest. See how you embarrassed yourself. This is why they don't like you. You don't even like yourself. You don't even love yourself. You know you can't do that. You work for somebody else, but that doesn't work for you. And all this particular line of thinking, because this is nothing more than it attempting to provoke an emotional reaction. Let me explain why. Wine upon my body, gal. Wine like it's a carnival. Got me love the way that you wine on me. Your wine is so emotional. I have to see the wine that he saw. I have to see the wine that he saw, Olga, because for a guy to describe a wine as emotional. But your wine is so emotional.
You're a party animal.
Shout out Jamaica, man. I'm not sure what time this video will be out, but much safety to everybody in the storm. What I like about the Jamaicans that I've seen is that they're turning, you know what I'm saying? I'm seeing them making jokes out of it, but that just goes to show the beauty of the people that, you know what I'm saying? We can take adversity and make it something that is, you know what I'm saying?
Hey,
I need to try Jamaican KFC.
you need to.
I saw a nigga in the storm driving KFC and it was closed and he was like, why is this closed?
Why is it closed? What do you think?
You know what I'm saying? No, but like, think about how good the KFC has to be for bro to drive in a storm. When I wake up in the morning, I'm drinking it tonight.
And the sunlight hurts my eyes.
Then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely, lovely day, 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 a lovely day. So, time now to merge the Jungian psychology from that particular point. Now, in Jungian psychology, there's something known as the shadow. Oftentimes you hear spiritual niggas say, I'm doing shadow work.
The way you said that, that's a while.
Right? And no, there's a lot of basis for it, right? But the truth of the matter is you're not supposed to be healing forever, right? And that's a real bar, write that down. Because naturally what begins to happen is that the old frequency also puts us on a perpetual cycle of healing ourselves continuously, but there's a point where the healing must become healed, because you're not supposed to heal for the rest of your life, or then you're just on a perpetual cycle, you're just, you know, running, but you're running on the same spot, and it's presenting the illusion that you're actually having something to solve, but you're not actually solving anything. It's just the fact that you're kind of like a firefighter. You're used to putting out fires, you're used to solving problems. And the truth of the matter is some of us are so used to solving problems that if we had no problems to solve, we would have no identity. And that's a real bar, write that down. And when you think about that, when your purpose is pain, you'll keep yourself in pain just so you can have an existence.
Purpose is pain.
Oh, you like that? You're just nodding his head. From a point of Jungian psychology, the shadow is known as the repressed version of you. All right? It's the version of you that grew up and you threw a tantrum as a kid and you saw your parents' disdain or disapproval. So then you're, as a child, you're kind of like, oh, they didn't really like that. Okay, you know, let me not do that now. Let me just, you know, be like this. Let me be like this. It's the product of societal and parental, or whoever raised you, disapproval and disdain, right? So when you acted a certain way, when you expressed anger and they said, don't do that, you're like, okay, let me not express my anger. They don't like that. When you were crying for some sweets, they weren't trying to give you the sweets. Then they're like, stop this at once. And you're like, okay, let me do this. Then you grew up, then you went out into the world, and then you expressed your emotions. And then they said, I don't really like that. I don't really like that. Then you said, okay, let me be like this then. Let me be like this then. That doesn't just disappear, by the way. Just because it's behind the scenes doesn't mean it's not on the stage. And that's a real bar, write that down. Because the truth of the matter is, that repressed version of you, based upon all the emotions that I express, because typically it's those emotions, right? It's those emotions of apathy, it's those ones of shame, it's those ones of guilt, sadness, humiliation. All of those instances in your life to which these emotions were produced, more often than not, you didn't really express it, more often than not. And if you did express it, there's more that you probably didn't express for the mere fact of social pleasantries. Because you don't want to be the, you don't want to be the Debbie Downer. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be the moody Margaret. You don't want to put, other people, you don't want to make anyone feel bad. So then you're just like, you know what? Okay. Even though I went through this extremely emotionally intense experience, and emotional intensity is trauma, which means my subconscious mind was altered, to which now my reality is going to materialize conditions, people, circumstances, and events that reflect or, the vibratory resonance with that particular situation that I went through. I'm just going to put that stuff to the back of my head, right? I'm going to put that stuff to the back of my head, and then you end up creating the shadow. The shadow is the materialization of all of this stuff right here. And the thing about the shadow is that it is repressed, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. It just means it's been pushed out, but it's still there. And because you're unconscious of it, and because typically what our shadow is made up out of is the most emotionally intense experiences of our lives, that emotional intensity then begins to enter the subconscious mind. Oh. And when it enters the subconscious mind, you're unaware of the frequency that you're silently emitting in the background of your life. You're unaware of how your trauma is actually affecting you, the experiences that you went through, because you want to avoid being traumatized so bad. You want to avoid being a victim so bad that you're actually going to make yourself unaware of how your subconscious mind is still materializing experiences that reflect that particular degree of trauma. And then here's where it gets dangerous, because if the shadow is the amalgamation of the repression of your apathy, shame, guilt, those instances, combine that with the mental side of it. What's the first law of the universe, AJ?
The universe is mental. All
Then,
is mental.
On the spiritual plane, your shadow now exists. And this is what I conceptualize as the old frequency. But if we extrapolate this now to the concept of demons, imagine if every experience that you went through created its own individual shadow. Its own individual shadow for that circumstance. Based upon the apathy, the shame, the guilt, the sadness, the humiliation. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call demons. They're nothing more than the experiences that you went through that produced a large degree of emotional intensity of shame, guilt, apathy, sadness, and humiliation. But, for the longest time, I've thought to myself, why is there so much fear associated with demons, right? Why is there so much fear associated with this? Because me personally, when I started being religious, there were some things that I just had to get answers to, right? That's how I ended up studying most of this stuff, right? That's why I studied, egregores, demons, and whatnot, because it just had to make sense to me. Because I'm like, why isn't this? This doesn't make sense. And for the longest time, like, why is this such a scary thing? And there's two reasons I concluded as to why, they're meant to be scary things. Even probably when I say the word demons, there's probably an aspect of you that's slightly a bit uncomfortable, right? There's probably, an aspect of you that's a bit like, I don't know if I should really trust this guy. He's wearing shades indoors, he's talking about demons and that.
Bro's every red flag. And they're still this far into the video.
Yeah, you're cooked. You're finished.
Everyone's so shocked you uploaded on a Wednesday.
Right?
Last October, I was recovering from suicide attempts.
Wow.
And I just had found your channel. This October, I'm at my best. Just landed my first ever job as a national news presenter.
Congratulations. Yo, shout man out on the knees and that. Shout out on the knees and
Imagine.
I'm playing.
Whilst being an A-level student, you and AJ really helped me find myself and get back on my feet again. Thank you for doing what you do. What a nice message. I'm glad you're okay.
Me too. That's lovely.
That's it.
Real talk though, shout man out on the news and
Imagine we just see a clip.
BBC News. Yo, that's funny. I like the blues. So, like I said, I had to conceptualize the idea of, because hopefully what I've just broken down to you about entities, demons, low vibrational energies, then those combining bridge, bear in mind, thought forms dropping stones every day. They form mountains on an individual level. That's what, begins to follow us. Your shadows just, also conceptualized, as a demon in of itself. But then all of these experiences, individual experiences, then produce a multitude of demons, synchronized consciousness, collective demons, go around looking for people to feed off on the spiritual plane, yada, yada, yada. I had to think to myself, why is there so much fear behind them? What is it? Why is there so much fear about demons? And two reasons. And I said this at the start of the video. Fear maintains ignorance. Because the natural default instinct that fear stimulates is to run. So most people are kept in ignorance based upon their fear. And the truth of the matter is most of us have a fear of ourselves, hence why we're ignorant of ourselves. That's a real bar, write that down. And when I say you have a fear of yourself, I don't mean you walk in the mirror, you're like, ah! I mean it in a sense of most of us are actually afraid of being in a particular degree of solitude by ourselves, right? Most of us are afraid of who we are when no one's around. Most of us are afraid of actually being left to our own thoughts based upon all the experiences that we know we're repressing and the mask that we put on when we go outside for social pleasantries and we smile and we're like, oh, thank you. But then in the back of your head, you really went through some crazy shit. But, you don't have the time for that. You don't want to be a victim for that. So most of the time, we just stay in ignorance of ourselves. And the truth of the matter is, one of the most famous proverbs, Greek proverbs, which actually derive from ancient Kemet, is know thyself and thou shalt know all. But if you don't know yourself, then you don't know all. And all also, is intertwined within the Hermetic, conceptualization of God. If you know yourself, you know God, right? It's what Rumi said. Rumi said, I searched for God and I only found myself. I searched for myself and I found God, right? And the second thing is that fear is faith in ignorance. Well, fear is faith in reverse. If faith can move mountains and fear is faith in reverse, then fear can make mountains. And that's how I write that down. And the mountains that it ends up making are mountains on the spiritual planes, which we conceptualize as entities, right? It can make mountains. And the fear of demons actually does nothing more than empower the lower vibrational aspect of you, because this is what they feed off. They feed off that lower vibrational energy. So if you're afraid of it, everybody that's afraid of a demon, and it's funny, religious people, they pray against them, but they're terrified of them, right? They're so terrified of the word even, to such a point that it shows the amount of power that has over them. And part of the power that's maintained is the understanding that fear is faith in reverse. If faith can move mountains, as said Christ in the Bible, esoterically, it's the idea of being able to transmute reality, the difficult circumstances, what mountains represent. It can also make mountains. We can end up creating mountains in our reality. So situations of adversity based upon our fear, which is faith in reverse, faith in ignorance. And that is the basis of the lower vibrational energies that they feed off. Now, one of the things that I said earlier, that AJ clapped me for, pause.
Clapped?
Like, what would you say we did? Like handshake?
We?
Okay, fine.
What purpose is pain?
Exactly, that exactly, purpose is pain, thank you. I completely forgot.
I think Uggs are the best investment I've made in a very long time.
So comfy, Yeah. They're too comfy. The thing about demons, just for simplicity's sake, we can individualize the emotions, apathy, shame, guilt, grief, and whatnot. But quite simply, it's pain. Demons feed off your pain. And the pain is the result of the emotional experiences that you've been through that were intense, but negatively, right? Pain is a result of our most emotionally intense negative experiences that we've been through. Those emotionally intense experiences that we've been through enter our subconscious mind. You may not be thinking about it consciously, or you may, the stuff that you've been through, but it's in your subconscious mind. And now because it's in your subconscious mind, you're unaware of it. Because you're unaware of it, they come over and just quite literally feed off that. And if demons feed off your pain, then your pain is the basis of their existence. If you had no pain, there'd be nothing to feed off. So what is the issue here? Is it the demons or the pain that you have that they're feeding off? Remember, they're blind intelligence. They're just here doing what they do, based upon what they're created from, so on and so forth. Your pain is the basis of their existence, but you're unaware of your pain. And because you're unaware of your pain, you're unaware of how you are quite literally a feeding source for them. You're like a watering hole that they come in. Pause. What? Why are you laughing?
That's crazy, bro.
Why are you laughing?
That's crazy.
Your pain is the basis of their existence. And I say all of that to say, until you have the capability of alchemizing your pain into power, you're going to continue to suffer. Because if you've ever seen, and I don't know if we believe this, guys, but if you ever see niggas in church casting demons out of people, whether they're real or not, right? And most of them are fake. I've seen some shit. I remember one time, I'll never forget this. So we must have went to church camp, me and my cousins. Me, MK King.
I thought about them straight away.
MK King went to a church camp. And bear in mind, this is when I was in my religious bag. A lot of you niggas actually don't know that I was extremely religious, like debate with people on the street religious, like evangelist, like it was serious, you know what I'm saying? Because people's tendency is like, oh, you just didn't know God, that's why you're not religious, and your faith wasn't strong enough, and and you didn't read the Bible enough, and you didn't try, like, stop. So at this particular church event, we got driven there by one of the members in the church. He was a cool guy, really cool guy, really cool guy. So eventually now we get to the event and we're in the hall and there's a bunch of other people. Niggas at church, they're just looking for things, innit? But we're locked in. So then the pastor starts singing, break every chain, there is power in the name of Jesus. And then he comes out. Bear in mind, there's probably like 200 kids here, like 200 like teenagers. The pastor's on, and he's walking. He's like, I feel some things in the crowd. We're like, what? Us man look at each other. We're like, yo, what's going on here? And then he's like, I feel some things. And then people start trying to run out. And there's ushers. He's like, close the doors. They're closing the doors. They're pushing people down. People are trying to run out. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? What's going on? And he's like, I feel some things in the crowd. Next thing you know, people just drop. Boom. Like, what's going on here? People just start spazzing out, screaming, ah. So we're all there chilling now. Bear in mind, the nigga that drove us there then starts tweaking. Like he's possessed.
As in inside the church.
We're like, we look at each other like, ain't this nigga our driver? Like, isn't this the guy that's driving us? Like, you might want to catch train home, because they just took a demon out of him. Like, what's going on there? So, I say all of that to say, I don't know if that shit is real. Most of it is fake because, one, I'm African. I'll tell you niggas that for free. I know Africans. And I'm friends with actually quite a few pastors, actually. But that's besides the point. I say all of that to say, typically, whenever demons are cast out of people, it's from a point of power. And until you have the capability of alchemizing your pain into power, they will continuously have something to feed off. And this is where we alchemize demons, ladies and gentlemen.
Seeing you drive a tweak out, long day.
We're like, huh? Bear in mind, that guy was top tier religious, like serious levels. And we're like, yo, he had a demon in him. Like, what? I don't.
Can't lie, you and your religious bag just don't even seem real right now.
People don't believe it, guys. One time, I was so deep in it, I thought the world was ending, and I cried tears.
You were one of them rapture niggas.
I was one of them rapture niggas. You damn right. You're bloody right. I was literally one of them. And that's so hard for people to conceptualize. But my people know. They're always shocked. Because I was the type of guy who'd be like, yo, delete. I'd sneak into my cousin's phone, delete all his MP3s. So I'm like, can't listen to this worldly music.
Bruh.
I was locked in, bro.
A lovely day.
Lovely day, lovely day, lovely day. So, like I said, you need to begin to alchemize your pain into power. And it all leads back to what you first saw when you clicked on this video. Don't fight your demons towards them. Because once you understand that your demons are nothing more than your pain, then you're just fighting your own pain. And fighting your pain doesn't really solve it, it just perpetuates pain. And that's a bar that down. Don't fight your demons towards them. And you talk to them by understanding that they're nothing more than the amalgamation of pain. And that pain is exactly what you've repressed. And because you've repressed it, you're unaware of how you're putting yourself in a cyclical pattern of having your pain fed off by these quote unquote demons, right? But if there's no pain, then there's nothing for them to feed off, right? So the experiences that you've been through, here's what I'll say. The first thing you need to do is actually sit down alone or lay down and actually just allow yourself to immerse yourself into your pain. Feel every emotion, feel every thought. I don't know how long this is going to take you. This might take, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. This might take a couple of days. It might take a couple of weeks. But what we're aiming for here is the illusion that's presented. The illusion that's presented is if you feel this pain, the pain will never end. That's not true. That's actually a defense mechanism of those entities to maintain their existence in their life, because that energy will dissipate from negativity to neutrality. But in order to do that, you have to immerse yourself into it and let yourself feel it. There's a lot of toxic positivity from people where they just repress the stuff that they went through without realizing that stuff created an emotional charge in your subconscious mind. Until you dissipate that energy, it will continue to rule your life without you even realizing. So sit down alone or lay down alone, and I truly mean alone, in silence, and just immerse yourself into the pain. Think back to the experiences that you went through that you try not to think about, and let yourself feel every point of that pain. If you cry, just allow yourself to immerse yourself into that pain, because it will dissipate even if it doesn't. It feels like it won't, but it will, right? And then recreate those experiences to alter the emotional charge that was put into your subconscious mind based upon that experience. So recreate it, whatever it happened to you, recreate it in a manner that you wish it would have happened, to allow yourself to turn that pain into power. And you do this by getting into a meditative state, laying down and relax, and then re-visualize what you went through, and just allow yourself to imagine it, loop it again and again and again in a way that you wish it would have happened, also known as revision. And then what that is going to do, because you're in a meditative state, your conscious mind isn't going to say this is real, because your subconscious mind is at the front. And then based upon your brainwaves that you're producing, alpha and theta, your mind is going to be more susceptible to the image that you're presenting. And then when you lead to the alteration or the recreation of that event, the emotional charge is going to change, which means the pain is going to change. When the pain changes, there's nothing for you to feed. There's nothing for those demons to feed off. But it's important that you actually do the first one, because a lot of people end up repressing their pain. And it depends, innit? Like, you don't have to do anything that I'm saying. Like, it's up to you. But I'm assuming if you're here at this point, you might as well try it. Because a lot of people are just functional with their pain. But the truth of the matter is, if you're truly someone who, is dealing with a lot of negative thoughts, then the truth of the matter is you need to allow yourself to experience those negative thoughts and hear them out. Now, I'm not saying, talk back to them, right? That's a bit different. But hear them. because then that's how you begin to understand yourself. But if you don't want to understand what's going on within, then unfortunately you're going to put yourself in a position where, you know, you're unaware of what's going on. Now, there is a fine line to this. I want to preface it by saying there is a fine line by immersing yourself too much into it. And the truth of the matter is, I don't know how to, you know, distinguish between that line. But there's a certain point where you can't just keep reveling in your pain, which I don't think anybody that's watching this video would, because that's just not the frequency that I admit. Now, the final thing that I like to say is this. From a religious point, right? And if this is quite tricky when you think about it, religious people will tell you, that everything that happens in this world is under God's control. God's control and God's plan. And nothing happens unless God has allowed it to happen. So if a demon, you know, feeds off you, it's because God is allowing it to happen. That's just, there's no cognitive dissonance there. It's just clear as day. So that would mean that demons, where people see them as a useless evil, they're actually catalysts for your growth. They're not something to fear, because what they do is expose the pain that you have, like a check engine light, for you to then alchemize it. Because think about it, like, if everything's really under God's control, then the demons that are taking place, that he's just letting ravage on people, you know, there has to be some type of purpose to that. And the purpose is that they're nothing more than catalysts for your growth, because they expose the pain that you have by feeding on that pain and making it apparent to you as a check engine light for you to alchemize that pain into power, which then alters your perception towards demons as this being this negative evil thing, which evil, you know, dependent upon the vibratory signature, of course, but more so an opportunity for you to evolve your consciousness. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's how you make demons every day without realizing. We don't buy no drinks at the buffet.
Now, the fact you smacked him.
This nigga's eating M&M's at 9 a.m.
How do you guys know it's 9 a.m.?
That's actually a bar. Eating M&M's at 9 a.m.
It's not 9 a.m. though.
It's not 9 a.m.
Prove it.
Lovely day. Lovely day. Lovely day. Okay, we're off to a shaky start here, guys.
What the hell is that?
Just stick with me, guys.
That's a sperm.
We're off to a shaky... What sperm have you seen
That's
look
a
like
sperm.
that? I just fed this 5'7" guy who's just my type.